I posted the album on Bandcamp, and hey,
Hey!
there
Hello,
you are,
Steve Hunter. How are you doing, man?
James B. Always great to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you. For people who don't know, Steve, you and I go way back to Don Francks. When I very first started at Jazz FM, one of the very first concerts I went to see was Don at Top of the Senator, and I went 4 days in a row.
Amazing. Yeah, that was November 2002.
I won't forget any of that. Alex Dean was fearless.
Yeah.
Brian Barlow was cracking up and totally into Don Francks' music and not afraid of him at all. Don Francks was a very, very amazing performer, and you were the man behind the thing. You were writing out his arrangements. You were working with him all the time. Your phantom fingers on the piano blew my mind. So from the very first time I saw you, I was like one of your very biggest fans. I'm sure of it. Now, what most people don't know is they've seen you, except you are, well, they've heard you. You are in the pit of the Mirvish Shows and some of the biggest theatrical things ever to happen in Toronto. So they know, they've heard you playing the piano, but they didn't know it's you because you're in the pit.
That's right. You're invisible. And the payoff for that is that you get paid well. You get great hours. You're home by 11:30 if you don't go to the Silver Rail for a drink after.
That's right. And the Silver Rail, you've just dated yourself. But, you know, with the Mirvish Shows, you did, how long did you play The Lion King?
4 years. Started
4 years.
Yeah.
And who was it Jean Chrétien that came to one of your shows?
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool. And it was funny because, so I was like in the lobby area with him and with Rick Fox, the musical director, and Jean Chrétien says, you know, I had trouble getting the tickets. And Rick said, well, you'd think you'd have a few connections.
You're the freaking prime minister.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was great.
So
great. Nice
I want to start early and let people know kind of how you got to where you are now, because all of these musical shows you've done, a lot of solo piano. I love your Muskoka Solace record. I play that. Scott Joplin in the right hands. Oh,
yeah.
Tell me about Pasadena, California. What was it like growing up?
Well, you know, it was great. I don't know. It was, you know, I was 56. I was born down there. We lived in Altadena first. The San Gabriel Mountains was my backyard playground.
Yeah.
Then we moved down to South Pasadena, Pasadena, just north of San Marino. And that was great too. I mean, we had a swimming pool and, you know, it was great. I had no idea about winter. You know, there was an orange tree in the backyard. We had birds of paradise and camellia bushes in the backyard. You know, I rode my bike everywhere. I had a ball. It was fun.
I like your tiki style, the tiki behind you. I actually have a little one right here.
Well, you know, tiki.
And then her boyfriend. Have you ever seen such a beautiful tiki boy? That's a rarity. I got that one in Maui. Anyway, I love that you have tiki behind you. You're wearing a palm shirt. You're from California. And then what got you into music? When did you start to go, hey, I've got to play some music?
Well, you know, my father used to love to tell the story that I begged him. I think my two older brothers were taking piano, and, you know, little siblings adore their older ones. And apparently I bugged him. So I was around 6 years old. I started playing. You know, I was supposed to practice 15 minutes a day. Hated it. Used to put the timer back, so you know, so I wouldn't have to. It seemed like an eternity, 15 minutes. I don't know, James. It just something coalesced.
How did you know? Like somehow with your brothers, with you, somehow it connected. When did you go, oh, wait a minute, I actually really like this? I know the rehearsing part.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I remember I was taking classical piano lessons, and I ended up with one of the premier piano teachers in the U.S., Robert Turner, and took lessons in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
I got into practicing. I don't know. It started to hit me, and I remember like once like just playing, like doing scales, for instance, and I just got into it, and I actually had an out-of-body experience. I was about 10 years old. I was doing like scales, you know, contrary motion scales, and I just felt myself float above and look down at what I was doing. It was. I still remember it distinctly. And then I think I was doing a Mozart piano concerto. And I really got into it. I loved it. Practiced and practiced and practiced, and it just kind of. I was always the kid in school. Oh, you're that guy that played piano. I've talked to friends that I was in like 5th grade with or 4th grade with in Pasadena. Got in touch with them later on, and they said, "Oh yeah, Steve Hunter, you played the piano."
You're that one guy who went home to play piano.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I played in the assemblies and stuff, and
Yeah.
And,
So Mozart was your gateway. Now, I know at some point you were a fan of Burl Ives, and excuse me for indulging in my own pastime here, but I was president of BIAS, the Burl Ives Appreciation Society.
okay.
When did you fall for
Now
the...
that we're talking about Burl Ives, I'm going to play a little something.
Yeah.
And you have to answer. And that's how we'll know that, like, because I know you and I are.
Oh my, okay, I wasn't ready for this. This is
Ready?
exciting. Yeah.
All right. What do you want for your supper, my good old man? What do you want for your supper, my honey, my
lamb. Egg.
eggs? How many of them do you want, my good old man? How many do you want, my honey, my lamb?
A bushel.
But a bushel will kill you, my good old
man. I love that you're doing this, man. and then you'll be dead. And then what do? I'll hate you.
I know.
I hate. That's one of the oldest folk songs. That's amazing. You know that one. When I met Burl Ives, I actually told him that we knew his music. I was with about 20 people backstage at Roy Thompson Hall. Yeah. And he said, what song would you like to sing together? And we picked Tam Pierce.
Okay.
Which is the name of a whole bunch of people. Tam Pierce, laid me your gray mare, all to dong, loud to dong, loud to dong, lee. And he was laughing, going, I can't believe you know this song. This has a lot of lyrics. And I said, we're fans, Burl. So you bought The Wayfaring Stranger, his autobiography.
Yeah, I bought it just after he passed away in '95. Down in Pasadena, Cliff's Books on Colorado Boulevard. It was and they had a copy. They said it came from his estate. Now I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, yes, he has grandchildren in Pasadena, and that book. He actually died on my birthday, Good Friday, Friday the 13th, 1995.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I thought he'd get up again because it was Good Friday, and if anyone was going to surprise us, it would be Burl Ives. Anyway, listen, let's move now. Now you've moved to Midland. It's 1973.
Yeah.
So from Pasadena to Midland, what happened?
Okay, that was a huge culture shock. I went from an integrated high school that was 40% white and 60% Hispanic and African American, and when I moved up to this in the middle of nowhere, there was one black kid, and I really hated. I didn't like it. It was like I didn't like the winter. At first, the first time it snowed, it was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then the first fall with the leaves, because you don't get that in Pasadena.
Right.
But I was always cold, and I've been cold since. I'm never warm. I don't know. I was working at a gas station, believe it or not. I had quit. I was a big guitar player. I formed a rock band in the high school, playing lead guitar, rhythm guitar, singing. And I'd forgotten about piano. I didn't like piano anymore, even though it's quite good. But then I was working at this gas station as a guy. I was doing changing tires, changing oil, pumping gas. Dead end, and an aunt came up from Toronto and said, hey, there's this jazz course at Humber College, because everybody was worried, what's Steve going to do? What's he going to do? What's he going to do? And I said, okay, well, one thing I have left that I can do is I can still play piano. So I practiced. I went down, they did an ear test. I passed. I got in as a mature student, right. and I just worked very hard and managed to do really well.
So when did you meet Don Francks? Tell me the story of how you two became friends and decided to collaborate is something I don't actually know. I'm asking you something I don't know.
Yeah. So I was playing in a lounge band, Like I said, there's in Toronto back in '77, back up through the '80s, there was just nothing but work.
Right.
If you weren't working, there was something wrong. And so I had, there's every place had a band, had music, and everything was union too. Anyway, I was working this lounge band, and there's a drummer, Rafael Galoro, who's passed away now. But he did a gig. He was good friends with Ron Collier, and Ron Collier wrote something called "Hear Me Talking to You,"
right,
in 1964, and Don Francks did the narration.
and that was CBC television, right?
Yeah. And they did, and so there was a live performance of it around 1981, I guess. And this drummer, who was a pretty fast talker, he talked Don Francks, because he was looking for a band. He talked Don into hiring our band, our lounge band, and we did. So and then we played. We got together, rehearsed, and Don wasn't enchanted with the rest of the band, but he wanted to keep me.
Right. And
so I stayed
Don
on.
Francks is already famous, right? He's famous.
Yeah.
Like, he's been on CBC a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done Finian's Rainbow yet, or had he?
Yeah, no, he did that in '67.
Oh, so he's totally famous, and now he's coming in to play with young guys, and he said, "I want to keep that guy."
Keep that guy, and so I hired the rest of the band. It was Claude Desjardins on drums, Dave Trevis on bass, Jeff Riches on guitar, and we had a violin player that he already had, Terrace Charnowall. Anyway, the first gig was George's Spaghetti House, which is a huge, thing. I mean, that was like, none of us could believe we get to play George's because it was so famous. And it just, I don't know, he liked what happened. We did a lot of Don's original songs, but we did, standards too. And I don't know, we just hung in. He kept on getting gigs. Mo booked him there. Mo Kaufman booked him at George's all the time.
Yeah, I could see those guys being friends. There was a lot of very hip people back then. PJ Perry, all these guys. And Guido Basso. They were enjoying the rock starness of being a jazz musician. Like they weren't shy about partying and having fun. And it was kind of our own little mini Hollywood when it comes to jazz, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you the truth, James. I mean, I was pretty young. I was 25 years old, and so I mean, I was just a guy playing piano, I mean, so I didn't really get to know Guido or Mo too well. I mean, Mo Kaufman became the contractor for Phantom of the Opera later on. So I saw him every day, when I did that show, and I started subbing in there in '90. But yeah, the jazz scene Don was such a mentor to me. He knew so much about jazz. He was a disc jockey in Vancouver back in his old days.
Yeah.
And he'd say what color the label was, on, Muskrat Ramble done by some obscure Dixieland band. It was on this label and it had this color. And he was just, he was so helpful to me.
I remember a story where he said he would only play Little Richard and he got fired for not playing Elvis.
Well, Don had a million stories, I mean, I like he played the Mandarin Gardens in Vancouver, and it was run by the Mafia, and they liked him, but they said he liked saying that, they brought him into the office Saturday night. Everybody worked Monday to Saturday. Sunday was off. And they said, "Okay, kid, you're doing really well, but we don't have the money to pay you, but we want you to come back Monday. Is that okay with you?" Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
So 35 years with Don Francks?
Yeah. Wow. 35.
And I got the tail end of it because when I saw that for those 4 shows in a row, that ended up coming out as an album, 21st Century Franks.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Yeah, well, you know what? And one other fella, Ray Irwin, we both put in a couple of grand and just pressed these records. And thanks to you two and to Joel Goldberg, everyone kind of just banded together and said, we're just going to make this record and give it to Don. So he was selling records off the stage, keeping the money. And it was just so important to have some of that stuff cataloged. And again, playing on that week, those 4 shows, I know you're used to it because you do Mirvish shows. Like, you're used to playing a lot. You don't just play a gig and then wait another week. You're playing all the time. Can you tell what is a favorite? I'm switching topics here for a sec. What is a favorite musical musically for you to play?
No problem there. Tommy by the Who.
You get to rock out.
Because I'm a rock guy, I got a rep as being a musical theater guy, but I always did shows that were rock based. Anyway, that was the first show I also got to conduct,
Wow.
and so it starts off with 8 chords, and it's really loud. So the audience is chattering away, the lights are all up, and all of a sudden the band goes, bang, bang, 8 chords. And everybody goes, oh, they jump out of their seats, and then the lights gradually go down. Conducting those 8 chords, I'll never forget the rush of it, because, it's just like, bah. And that's the power of that band coming out of the speakers.
Right.
And I got to meet Pete Townsend. He was there for the rehearsals. He actually played this guitar.
Amazing. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, but no comparison. Tommy was great.
Right on. Now, what about some other highlights? I'm thinking, I know you played for Kretchen. You played for Obama, I think, right?
Yeah, I got to, because I was musical director for Colm Wilkinson, who was a big buddy of Ted Kennedy's. Ted Kennedy originally got Colm into the U.S. because of their Irish connection.
Yeah.
And Colm he played Jean Valjean on Les Mis on Broadway. And anyway, there was a connection there. So it was Ted Kennedy's 80th birthday at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and everybody in Washington was there. John Kerry, Colin Powell, the Bushes, whoever was around there was there. And then Barack Obama was there as well. I mean, and I stood like 3 feet away from him at one point in the wings of the stage. It was unbelievable. I got to conduct the Washington Symphony. I played Sweet Rhoda Grady on the piano. Everybody sang along. It was like Lauren Bacall was backstage. Harold Prince, James Taylor was on the bill. Bernadette Peters. It just went on and on.
Sorry, once you said Lauren Bacall, my eyes just went into Lauren Bacall land, and I didn't hear anything else. But that must have been something else. Hey, by the way, can you tell me, Obama's kind of tall, right?
No.
Oh, he's not?
No, he's about my height.
Okay, that's still not short, but I get it. So he's an average height.
Yeah.
I always wonder, because he seems small, but it's only because he's not big, but he's not actually short.
Yeah, no, it was so Bill Cosby was there, which is kind of cringy now. So they wanted to. Bill Cosby comes out at the end of the show, and they want to sing "Happy Birthday" to Ted Kennedy, who's sitting up there in the balcony. And he comes out and says, well, it's one thing to sing Happy Birthday, but you always got to get somebody to start it off. Nobody knows how to really start it off. So to help start Happy Birthday off to Ted Kennedy, we've got a special guest. And he puts his arm to his, stage left or right, and then out walks Barack Obama. And so John Williams is also there, and he's conducting, right?
Whoa, that's the biggest of them all.
I know. I got to meet him.
God.
He came, I was watching.
I don't know what I'd say to John Williams. Hola, Salima.
James, I was at the rehearsal and I watched him conduct. The guy is like a master. He belongs way up in the exalted spots for the great musicians. And I was just saying, how can I meet this guy? So after the gig, I'm jumping ahead here. Mm-hmm. So he's walking, I'm at the stage door. And I didn't, and I'm like shuffling my feet out. I didn't really get to meet anybody. And then, so there's John Williams. He's escorting Bernadette Peters out the door, at the stage door. He sees me, and John Williams comes over to me and puts out his hand and he says, hey, I want to meet you. You did a great job up there. And I was, blah, 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 blah. That to me was like the high point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Barack Obama's on stage and he's about to introduce, and it's so funny. The phone. Hold on a second.
Yep. Okay, so now we have a little halftime show.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Halftime show.
Okay, so so Barack Obama, walks on the stage. He's just been elected, so everybody is like agog.
Right.
The whole orchestra stands up, including the French horns, who have to give the first note. you know, "Ooh, happy birthday to you." And so, so the applause is going. John Williams is frantically trying to get the French horn players to sit down so he can like point at them so they can give the first note. Anyway, Barack Obama does his thing and he leads "Happy Birthday." And that was just, it was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. You've sung with a couple of my favorites, or played with a couple of my favorite singers, Etta James.
Wow. Before, okay, so she recorded, what was it, At Last.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, but before that, she was not really well known. She used to travel around and pick up bands wherever she was. She did not travel with a musician, not even a piano player.
Wow.
John Tilden, a guitar player who used to play with Wooden Teeth and Whiskey Howell, he got the call, so he hired me because I could read and I could play blues, and so we did the concert down at Harborfront, and it was unbelievable. Her charisma was just off the charts, and she did this one song called I don't know, Wedding Day Blues or something, and in the middle, the piano player has to play the part of the priest or the reverend and say, "Does any man object to this woman and this man being joined in holy matrimony? Speak now or forever hold your peace." So I had to say that. So, she's like a magnet. Everybody's looking at Etta James, and all of a sudden she goes like this, puts her hands on her hip and goes, and she looks at me at the piano. And so I speak my line. And I was really put off because like everybody at the whole place, like, all of a sudden they're all looking at me. But I did the lines and she said, "Ooh, that was cute. Do it again."
Totally putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Anyway, she was great. Unbelievable.
You also played with my Kool-Aid mom, my mom away from moms, a woman who just stays beautiful and can sing, Sylvia Tyson and the Great Speckled Bird. You played with her. I didn't know that. I only found that out recently.
Well, that was in 1990. I'd just done 4 years of Cats, and I never wanted to do a musical theater thing again. That music was just horrible, but I made a lot of money. By the way, Ted Quinlan was the last guitar player in that show.
Cool.
Anyway, so all of a sudden I started playing with people. I played with Jack the Kaiser. I played with Willie P. Bennett, and I played with Sylvia Tyson. And we got to do about a year and a half gigs with her. She was great. She was just she was like an earth mother and wise beyond means, and so
consummate pro, right? Always calm, but also a very dry sense of humor. She probably told you a couple of jokes on the road.
I think so. I don't remember any,
well,
but
she collects them. But the thing is, she's so understated. She's not exactly yada yada Fozzie Bear. She's understated, and she collects really crazy jokes. Oh, you also played with Jackie Richardson, right?
Well, for a while, starting in 1990, and then I don't know, for pretty well through the 90s, I worked with Jackie. And she had her Richardson sisters.
That's right.
So Betty and her cousin Gail Berry. It was the three vocalists, and they had this fantastic show. And so I played piano. There was a trio. There was Lionel Williams on bass, Rick Ratton on drums, and they did all this great gospel music, and it was fantastic. It was, they're doing the real deal. All 3-part harmony, all worked out, and they're all gorgeous, and they all look great.
Yeah. And you also went over to Soul Pepper Theater, which, of course, now this bring us to the present where you kept busy creating and being creative. There's a thing about some artists. Some artists are not stuck for things to do. No one's making any money right now, but everyone's still working on things. Tell me about some of the things like Expecting to Fly. Tell us about that project. Well,
it came about, I was working through Palm Springs, south of Palm Springs, there's this little desert town. And I got a gig at the local resort playing piano. And I noticed when I'd play like Beatles songs and Stones songs that the audience would kind of perk up. And all of a sudden the tip jar started like filling up. And I said, hey, wait a second here. There's something going on here. So I'm playing Across the Universe from the Beatles and Fool on the Hill and you never give me your money. And people, I just go, okay, they're all my age now. Nobody wants to go and hear the same old jazz standards when they go out to dinner anymore from the
Right,
piano
right.
player.
That's an important thing to discover, is that the people, I'm the same, because I find when I used to do these shows at Lambton Golf and Country Club, we would do old stuff, Glenn Miller, Artie Shaw, whatever, and nobody, it started to change. And suddenly I realized we're not playing the music they grew up with. We're
Yeah,
playing music their parents grew up with.
that's right. Bingo. And so that's, and then, and that's when I started, like, this during this time of COVID, around April and June, I started coming up and remembering the old songs that I like. So that's how, you know, some say people's most strongest, you know, trigger for memory is a smell, their scent, and I'd say it's music, and
Yeah.
it's all, and everybody's got like about a 5 or 6 year period of where whatever was, like, when they say they're 12 to 18 or something,
Right.
whatever was they were listening to then, they get nostalgic about. And so for me, I was like, my older brothers had all the albums. I had 2 older brothers, and even though I was a classical piano nerd, I really dug this music. And so, like, one of them, it was starting Expecting to Fly, is from a 1967 Buffalo Springfield album. It's kind of obscure, but it's a nice, beautiful song. And I lifted it, I transcribed it, played it on piano, and I just immediately thought, this really works. And I put solos on them, and I did songs from, let's see,
And the Beatles and the Stones, right?
the Birds, and Procol Harum,
The band.
Jimi Hendrix, The Wind Cries Mary.
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah,
Love it.
That's the Way, Led Zeppelin 3, 1970.
Oh,
Moonlit Mile, The Stones. Like, so things that aren't really, you know,
right.
that
Go for
popular.
Home Woman.
Yeah, so because, you know, some things, you know, that are guitar driven just don't work on piano, but other things that are guitar driven surprisingly work really well on piano.
Yep. So these
And
are
so,
also solo pianos of famous rock tunes, some not so famous, but from famous artists, right?
yeah,
And everything done, it's kind of cinematic. I imagine this music would be really good in a movie soundtrack, because it's
well,
really moody
yeah, it is
and
really cool.
recognizable.
Yeah, yeah. Once I started, there was like turning on a spigot. I was just like, I was doing something. I was coming up with like 2 songs a week,
Wow.
and then
And
I
then,
got the album cover done and just put it on Bandcamp. You know.
and you balance that with the ruby and the pearl, which is again back to the stuff that maybe
Yeah.
people like me would expect.
Okay, yeah, jazz, and because I haven't really, you know, I really haven't been in tune with jazz for a while, and this has been great to kind of get back into it. And so Ruby and the Pearl is from Branford Marsalis Quartet record from 2006 called Eternal. And I just started listening to that about a year ago. And like whenever that song came on, man, I was transported. So that's the deal. I want to get a song that transports you.
Yeah.
So one of the last things I did was Some Other Time, the version with Tony Bennett and Bill Evans.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
then
wasn't famous when it came out, right? That song, Tony Bennett was in the lowest point of his career, drinking, owing money, made a record, nobody cared, and it became one of the most famous records after the fact. But when it came out,
didn't know that.
yeah, when it came out in the early 70s, Tony Bennett spent a lot of time up here in Toronto with Gino Empri and just kind of looking for something to do. And it was when there was the least amount of jazz ever, was like 70s into the early 80s, where great people like Tony Bennett couldn't sell records, or not enough of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
What an amazing record that was, though.
Yeah, and that lick that Bill Evans plays on the beginning of that, it's like a boom, bum, bum. He uses it kind of blue, flamenco sketches. He uses the same lick, and then he uses it for a piece of his own called Peace Piece.
I love Peace Piece.
Yeah,
That's
same lick.
my favorite, yeah.
Yeah, same lick. Anyway, little known fact, I figured that out.
I love
Also
that.
started doing the music, some songs from Duke Ellington. There's this great album, The Duke Plays Ellington.
Yeah, Melancholia is my favorite on that one.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, I did
Play
that.
one, right?
Yeah, I did that one. I did Retrospective, and I did Reflections in D.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's early 50s.
53.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Man. That's
Yeah.
so cool. So you're Expecting to Fly album out. Then you've got the Ruby and the Pearl. How far down the road are you into that?
I've got 9 songs. I got 3 more. I figure 3 more.
Yeah.
And that'll be done. I just got to get the artwork done and put that online.
Okay, and finally, your Charlie Brown Christmas. That's why I'm dressed like this in front of my Christmas trees,
Okay.
because I'm so excited. You have taken the songs we all know and love, and it's solo piano, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
but we know every song. We even know the order of the songs because we've watched that show for so many years.
Right. And that's what anybody can like put that record on or the CD, and we all know what's coming next.
Yep.
We even know the key it's in.
Whether we can say it or not, our brain knows what to expect.
Yeah. So I've actually been playing all that music for over 20 years. And occasionally now you see somebody's doing a Charlie Brown Christmas concert, and I say, hey, wait a second, I've already got all these things, all those songs, every single one of them transcribed. I said, so I thought I'm going to do the whole CD. I'm going to do in order every single song, including For Release by Beethoven and Hark the Herald Angels Sing. So it's all in order. I just put it up, and I've been listening to it. I just did it last week.
Well, I look forward to hearing Hark the Herald without any singers going, loo, 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 loo. Like, I'll just hear it on piano. That'll be fine.
My girlfriend says the same thing.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm not sure about that one. So listen, good luck on the Christmas record. And I look forward to 2021. I think we'll get out of the house at some point and start playing some music again.
James, I can't wait to see you again and go out to Harry's and have breakfast and hang.
And sit in that crazy little sports car you have.
That's right.
It's something else.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's keep our work together to keep Don Francks' music alive and thriving. I love how every time I see you, I just feel Don's presence.
Well, amen to that, brother. I did transfer. Another project was a COVID project was transferring. About 10 cassette tapes of his music that are just no one's heard. Yeah, and it's all great stuff, and that's ready to go. Yeah, so we'll talk to the family and find out how to share that with the world, because it's important music, and you and Don made so much music together for so many years. It's great that we can still leak some out now and then and keep that going. I can't wait. Yeah. Well, Merry Christmas. Have fun, and I'll be listening to that record. Okay. Merry Christmas to you, James. Steve Hunter, right on, baby. Okay. Cheers.